Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to this edition of the EGU podcast for conscious, awakening, and emerging souls. I am Michelle Reinhardt, your host, and it is a great delight to bring you a global expert each week supporting your unparalleled success in mindset, energy, business, and all things spiritual to help you thrive. And we are diving headfirst into what is stopping you from being great. I have with me a gorgeous lady who is a university lecturer with over 18 years experience in health psychology, research and community development. And if she's not busy writing books or designing new course materials for her students, you'll likely find her with her 3-year-old son and her husband, possibly singing and dancing to the tune of Mary Had a Little Lamb and eating pita with hummus. Please allow me to introduce you to Emee Estacio. Emee, it's delightful to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me, Michelle. It's an honor to be here. Thank you.
We've got a great show ahead. We are speaking of purpose, action, momentum, and energy. That's what we've got for you today, and it's cleverly disguised as a code by this #1 best-selling author, speaker, and founder of the PAME Code. Let's talk about the PAME Code. What is it, Emee?
PAME comes from the Greek word. I married a Greek man, and it's something that I hear from him all the time. He keeps saying, PAME, PAME, PAME. And I ask him, what does that mean? And basically, it means let's go, let's go together. And essentially, PAME is a reminder for us that in this life that we live, we can actually go together. Life is sweeter and more meaningful and beautiful when we share it with other people, when we connect with each other and, we go together in our life's journey. So essentially, that's the literal meaning of PAME. It means let's go together. But at the same time, I'm borrowing the word PAME. I'm borrowing the letters of PAME to refer to purpose, action, momentum, and energy. And essentially what that means is when we try to live our lives, we need to anchor ourselves into our purpose. It needs to be the driving force in our lives. What is our purpose in life and what are we doing with our lives? So P stands for purpose, but it has to be coupled with action. And it's not just any action. It has to be consistent action with momentum and positive energy. So that's where I borrowed the letters from PAME to refer to purpose, grounding yourself into your purpose, knowing and clarifying what your purpose is and letting that purpose drive you forward. But at the same time, having action, consistent action with momentum, and maintaining the positive energy and sharing that positive energy with everyone so you don't burn yourself out in the process. So essentially, that's what PAME stands for.
Thank you, Emee. Now I'm going to dig a little deeper here. How do people find their purpose?
That's a tough question, actually. Because, people say, oh, I want to fulfill my purpose in life. But for some people, their purpose is unclear. They don't know what their purpose in life is. And in my first book, it's called Change Your Life for Good. I talk about this technique, the pastel technique. See, I love acronyms. It just helps us to remember things. But the pastel technique stands for understanding your passion, your strengths, and your legacy. So when we talk about passion, you have to think about what is that thing that ignites fire in your belly. When you think about it, when you can feel it to the core and this is what you want to do with your life. So let that passion ignite your life and pursue it. So start off by recognizing what you're passionate about, but at the same time, you also need to understand what your strengths are. What are you good at? And actually, at the same time, you have to think about what you're not good at right now, but it's something that you want to develop and grow. So, I can talk about having a growth mindset actually, because when we talk about our strengths are not fixed. Our strengths are something that we grow and develop. There are some things that you are naturally good at, but there are things that you actually need to be good at. So, for example, in my case, I'm a psychologist. And I would say, I'm good at listening to people and trying to understand their needs and trying to help them with their needs. If I want to reach more people and help more people, I need to be able to make the most, for example, of social media, to be able to reach out to a wider audience. For me, initially, I would think, I'm not good at that. I'm not, that's not my strength. But, don't let that stop you. It's not my strength right now, but it is something that I can develop and be my strength in the future. So the strength is something that you can be naturally good at, but it's also something that you can develop. So those are the two things. So your passion, your strength, and finally you have to think about your legacy. This is the LE and the pastel. When you think about your legacy, it's thinking about at the end of your life, how would people remember you? Did you make a meaningful contribution in your life? Was your life worth living? It's something that could really ground you when you think about that far ahead. What will be your legacy? How will people remember you? So that could really ignite and tell you, look, I'm passionate about something. I know what I'm good at. I know what I need to improve. And I need to find a way so I could be remembered the way I want people to remember. The pastel technique. Think about your passion, your strengths, and your legacy. How do you want to be remembered at the end of your life?
I love that. I really do. That a lot of people do struggle with knowing their passions, particularly if they've had a particularly difficult life and they're going through a large healing process to get to the stage where they can actually take their life to the next level. But there is something that does stop people from being great. I know you have another acronym for this as well. Would you care to share that with us too, please, Emee?
Well, the truth is, Michelle, I was thinking about this question a lot last night. What stops people from being great? It's a really difficult question. It's a really complex question. And I think we can go on and on talking about this. And for me, being a psychologist and for someone who wrote a book on imposter syndrome recent, you would expect me to say, what stops people from being great is their mindset. What stops people from being great is, the messages that they tell themselves and, their confidence and self-belief. We can put that on the one hand. These are internal factors that prevent people from being great. But at the same time, we also have to recognize that there are also external factors that prevent people from being great, environmental factors, circumstances in people's lives, power relations, structural conditions, and so on. There are external factors, environmental factors that we also have to consider. So two things go hand in hand. We have internal factors that are innate in the person, things like mindset, confidence, and so on. But there are also external factors, barriers, and opportunities that prevent people from being great. If we think about the environmental factors, whether you have opportunities or no opportunities in your environment, you still have to do something about it. So if there are opportunities in front of you, you need to recognize those opportunities and make the most out of it. If there are no opportunities in front of you, what are you going to do about it? It still boils down to a person trying to take hold of their life and recognizing whether there are opportunities, making the most of the opportunities, and if there are none, finding ways to overcome the limited opportunities and barriers that prevent them from being great. In my recent book, I keep talking about imposter syndrome. A lot of people have this self-doubt. Even if there are opportunities in front of them, they don't grab it. They don't take hold of it because they doubt their abilities, they doubt their worth. And actually, if you're doubting yourself and you're doubting your worth, who's going to believe in you? You have to recognize what's holding you back, to be aware of what's holding you back from maximizing your fullest potential. Take hold of it, recognize it, and do something about it.
Yeah, I work with the people on the complete opposite scale to you. And I do get those that are very, very broken, very, very broken. And they've had things thrown at them left, right, and centre. We work right from the start and figure out what is their truth and what are they telling themselves that's holding them stuck in their lives. And once those things are recognized and you start to pay attention to that inner voice, and that, I mean, we're all love. Everything around us is love. And when we can tap into that, we can start to truly see the greatness that we are all capable of, because we're all one. And if one person can do extraordinary things in their lives, why can't the other one? The only thing that's stopping them is themselves. And perhaps, as you say, the environment, and there are some other things that are up against people, absolutely. But not everyone's here to create and live that ginormous legacy. Some people's legacy may just be to be a fabulous mom.
Absolutely, yes.
So it's really working out what that is that fires your soul and making sure that there's no imposters on the way blocking your path so that you can step into your greatness.
Absolutely, because now that you've mentioned, with the imposter syndrome, some people, they have this persistent self-doubt that actually drags them down. It paralyzes some people sometimes, because if they are not believing in themselves and they are telling these messages, call them inner critics, actually, these chatters in your head that tell you you're not good enough, you're not worthy, you're never gonna succeed, or you're never gonna be good enough. These are messages, these are chatters that you have inside your head, whether it is something that you've told yourself or whether it is something that you've been told. Either way, these are messages that you have in your head, and you have to process that. You have to recognize them as your inner critic. And once you are aware of these messages, that your inner critic tells, recognize it for what it is. And, I have another acronym for this. It's T.L.C. Give it the T.L.C. treatment. Recognize the message, listen to the message, understand what it is, and ask, is it true? Is it logical? And is it constructive? Because, for example, telling yourself, I'm never going to be good enough, I'm not worthy, thing will come out of my life. You have to ask yourself, is it true? Is it true that you're never going to be good enough? Haven't you done anything that you can be proud of in your life? Aren't you grateful for anything in your life? So ask, is it true? The second question is it logical? So, for example, if someone gave you a responsibility and you say, I'm not sure if I can do it, I'm not good enough to do it. Ask, is it logical for someone to trust you and give you this opportunity and responsibility if you're not good enough? So you have to raise this question. T, is it true? L, is it logical? And finally, C, is it constructive? Will telling yourself that you're not good enough or you're never going to be good enough, is it helping you in any way? Is it helping anybody in any way? If not, then why are you holding on to that message? You have to recognize these messages. They exist. They are in our head. We all experience self-doubt from time to time. And for those who experience imposter syndrome, it can be a persistent, vicious cycle of self-doubt. Sometimes they procrastinate. Sometimes they run away from responsibilities. They run away from risks because they are afraid that they're not good enough. But these are the messages that you tell yourself. So ask, give it the T.L.C. treatment. Is it true? Is it logical? Is it constructive? And more often than not, it is untrue. These are lies that you've been told.
They are.
These are illogical, irrational beliefs for some reason that you're still clinging on to. Don't know why, but you have to recognize that. And unhelpful. They are, destructive. So let go of it, challenge it, and do something about it.
I do. I like that a lot. Very, very good. True, logical, constructive. And if it's not, pay zero attention to it and turn to something that makes you feel good.
Exactly. Do something about it. If it is untrue, if it is illogical, if it is destructive, let it go and convert it into something that is real, something that is true, something that is logical and something that can help you and help others as well.
Exactly. Emee, I'm not sure if you've been in the situation in your life that has had you feel that you're up against everything, that the odds are stacked up against you every corner you turn. I certainly have. And I do know how difficult it was to shift from that space, that very dark, heavy space, to where I find myself in such joy and love and gratitude these days. I pinch myself because it's like I'm looking at a different person in the mirror. It is and can be a very difficult journey for some, but please, if that's where you're at, make the journey. You will always be grateful that you have. The people around you will benefit greatly, your children, your family, those that you care about the most. Once one person steps up and steps forward, we have the ability to carry others as well. And it's a beautiful thing.
Yes, I absolutely agree. And to be perfectly honest with you, if you spoke to me 18 months ago, I wouldn't be smiling at all. The truth was, I've been a really driven person since I was a child, I guess. Very ambitious, very driven, really striving for perfection, if you like. And to some extent, I have achieved a lot of things in my academic career. I was on track to doing great things with my academic career, and then I got pregnant. It's a joyful thing. I have a new life coming out of me. It's a wonderful thing. But when I gave birth, I sort of lost some control because now I'm not just looking after myself, I'm also looking after someone else. And there's a shift in terms of my identity. Suddenly, I'm not just this academic researcher anymore, I'm also a mom. And, the circumstances at work also changed because in the past, I have all this time to myself, bury myself under work. When my child arrived, I don't have that luxury anymore of, spending all my time at work. I also have a child to look after. And, that caused a lot of tension in me. And if we put aside the environmental unsupportive structures that I had in the past, can be a really difficult, challenging process. Fortunately, I did have people who reached out. When I was going through this turmoil, it was a really difficult situation to be in, just having that tension. You want to do something, but you can't do it. But it's like you have different purposes, if you like, staring you from different directions. On the one hand, I want to be successful in my career, but on the other hand, I want to be a mother and, to be with my child all the time. So there's tension. So in my case, having a supportive structure that will enable you to flourish both at work and in life is really helpful. And, for me, having people around me, that's why, PAME is important. The saying that we can go together. When you're having this tension and these difficulties, you need people to lift you and to support you and to show you, look, you're not alone. We are here, we can go together and resolve this together. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm really grateful that I have a husband who is really supportive. I have colleagues at work who have helped me to recover from that difficult period in my life. And now I'm able to flourish. And I try to reconcile my purpose. And my purpose now is just really to be a good role model for my son. So that would mean that me living my life and trying to achieve my fullest potential, still doing great academic work, great research, doing what I enjoy doing in terms of my work, but still being a really good role model for my son, doing what I do with integrity, showing what I do with passion, being there for my son and showing him that it can be done. And this is what I'm doing right now. And I hope that, if there are people who struggle right now and have this, if they're in a really dark place right now, try to find people who can reach out to you and help you to go through your journey together. You need people to support you, and you need a supportive environment to enable you to flourish, to do what you want.
Thank you. Thank you so very much for sharing that. And The other thing that I would love to add to that is, as we step up and we break the shackles of the lies, other people do step forward. The lighter people, the ones that will help you and that will support you, they do. Trust me, they do come forward, and we do light the way for others as we rise. And it's very, very important to make those first steps and it's that decision, isn't it? Right straight up. I'm not going to stay here anymore. What can I do to shift this? And things start to happen automatically. Emee has given you some fabulous tools today to start with. I'm going to put the links to her books and her website and her contact details in the show notes. So please reach out. We are here to help. We have a big pledge to serve. And if you don't ask us, we can't help you. So please take advantage of that. Emee, I'd love to just summarize the show into the 3 simple steps for our guests. And I know that your first step, the PAME Code, is a recognition that we can go together in our life's journey. And it's also a reminder that we need to understand our life's purpose and that we must let this purpose be the driving force in our lives. That's when life becomes fun, is it not?
Yes, absolutely. You know, your purpose, your passion, you should anchor yourself into that. It ignites fire in your belly. It makes life more exciting. You know, it's more fun. You know, we have this life to live. You know, make the most out of it and make it really meaningful and touch other people's lives as well. If there are others who are struggling, you know, do reach out and go in this journey together.
Yeah, I was talking with a girlfriend earlier today, and we were talking about rack attacks, random acts of kindness.
And love it.
I love it too. We do it all the time, and do it with my girls. We often go in our church community. We go and do rack attack for people that can't necessarily do things around the home and things like that. We go in, and as a community, we go in and change people's lives, put smiles on people's faces, and it's beautiful.
Rack attacks. I'll write it down as like another acronym.
Oh, there is. I know. I thought you'd like that one. So just a reminder that imposter syndrome is not uncommon. You just need to be aware of it so you can take control of it instead of it controlling you. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's that awareness. Once you're aware of it, you can be so much more empowered. And also recognizing and challenging the messages that we tell ourselves, and coming back to the T.L.C. there, of course.
Yes, give it the T.L.C. treatment. You have these messages, these inner chatters in your head. You know, ask, is it true? Is it logical? Is it constructive? If it's not, ditch it. You know, change it to something that will help you.
I agree, 100%. I've absolutely thoroughly enjoyed our time together, Emee. Thank you so much for the gorgeous, clear, concise message that you've left for our listeners.
Thank you very much, Michelle. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope people find it useful and valuable.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. So guys and girls, is it time for you to reach out and connect with someone that inspires you to take the quantum leaps and the bounds in your life so that you can reach into your passions and your purpose? If you need to reach out to Emee or I, our links are below. I also welcome you to come and join us in community with more than 5,500 conscious entrepreneurs at my favorite place online, which is a Facebook community called Entrepreneurs Globally Unite. It is the heartbeat of change, and it is my baby. And I'm in there all the time, helping, supporting, nurturing, and loving those that are ready to make some big shifts in their lives. We're here to help. Thank you again, Emee, for joining us. Have a beautiful day.
Thanks, Michelle. Have a nice day, everyone.
Thank you. Goodbye for now. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.